I was tagged in this post, and the subreddit is called Purple Pill Debate. So please know and understand that when I start doing some of the comments, that's the reason why they won't make any sense, because they're red pill dudes and they're not making any sense. So just keep that in mind. This woman says, why do men care if older single women are lonely? That's the question. They typically do not answer the question, but why do men care if older single women are lonely? She says, this is a genuine question. I'm a 19-year-old woman, and sometimes online I see this rhetoric about dating from other men that confuses me. It's usually on video reels. I see where a woman who's over 30 is just talking about how happy she is with her freedom, traveling the world without a partner or children, or just having time for herself. When I open the comments, a lot of guys on there seem to take it personally and just have a lot of reactionary comments that surprise me, saying stuff like, you've already hit the wall, expired, good luck dying alone with your cats, etc. One of my favorite travel vloggers makes harmless videos just about her traveling experience. She's 32 and is not tied down with any kids, brings nothing but positive vibes, and the comments are like nothing but these ones. To me, if I saw a video of a 30-year-old dude unmarried without kids and living his best life, I'd be supportive. Like, good for him. Not just that, but then I see comments from other older women to these guys claiming they're the happiest they've been single and old, and the guys keep insisting there are studies proving that 30-year-old childless women are the most depressed groups in existence. Even if this was the case, why do you guys care if they're unhappy? It's contradictory because of the attitudes of these guys. I thought they'd delight in older women's misery because they're finally lonely and miserable. I just don't get it. It's their own personal choice whether they want to have children, stay married. I don't see why it should be viewed as a moral judgment by other men. Since I'm fairly young, I guess I don't know what life path I want to take in terms of getting married and having children. But to be honest, at times I feel like being by myself would be a nice choice. I've had two partners in the past, a man and a woman. I'm bi. And although I enjoyed the relationship, sometimes I just couldn't shake the feeling of annoyance, as if I wanted to be truly single. It's probably just my personality or my own personal choice about my dating preferences. But I'm just curious about why the personal choices of these other single older women have the power to make some men and women feel so offended and angry. And don't let that single and child free woman be a Black woman, because they really do not like these women out here living their own life, being free, unencumbered, just doing what they do, just existing. Just existing without a man or stress is like an indictment on men, and they have to come for that woman. So I don't know what it is, but women existing and being free is just like, like, oh, I gotta get her. Even the women that are over the hill and, at the wall, those women still need to get got for some reason. I don't know why that is, but you know what it is? You can't have too many of these examples out there. Other women need to see the vitriol that women get just by simply being older and existing. You need the younger women to be shamed into running into a relationship, running straight for a man, like to get connected to a man, because otherwise they might get this kind of vitriol. Now, for some of the comments. Okay, Entertainer says, personally, I don't care, but these guys have probably been scorned enough and see it as a form of revenge. At least some do. And then Prized Fighter Student says, much of dating gender dynamics discourse is a revenge tour on both sides of the aisle. Now, like she said, these women are typically just enjoying life, and then the men jump into the comment section. So it doesn't really have to be, it's not a discourse on dating. It really isn't. Women are just living, and it makes the men livid. You see what I did there? That whole alliteration. Now, Mr. Vainwood is a person that I saw pop up a lot in these comments. He is very active. He says, and keep in mind, I said that these people don't always connect with the actual question. The question, why do men care if older women are lonely? That was the question. He says, we live in a culture that habitually promotes misandry as a civic virtue. It gives women carte blanche to engage in sociopathic behaviors. This isn't both sides are equally bad. Department of Homeland Security literally contracts with the firm to interfere with any content creators who honestly speaks to male issues. Also, regarding bad guys, whatever bad faith behaviors these men are accused of, still does not usually absolve women of being responsible for picking the philanderer in the first place. It's basic math. Home math has broken this down multiple times. So, like I said, it doesn't necessarily go with the subject matter. And OK Entertainer says, true. True. There was no truth in that. But okay. Mr. Vainwood continues. These hypothetical guys and these hypothetical women, can we just acknowledge we are basically dogfighting with stereotypes of each other? Look, I am hard red pill. I really take issue with specific behaviors I see in women. I also probably disagree with you on how men and women are wired. I don't care what random women are doing with their lives outside of promoting the family, destroying behaviors we see online. However, this doesn't mean that my criticism is intended as a gendered attack. It's just an attempt to point out destructive behaviors. In my honest opinion, many red pill criticisms boil down to one, if women are equal to men, then they should be held accountable legally and socially for their actions. Number two, feminism is gynocentric, not egalitarian. And three, men should be allowed to divest from misandrous persons and institutions. Just, it's like they see that a question has been posed and they must just insert some words as an answer. The Meds Peds says, I mean, they aren't all hypothetical. I literally just argued with one the other day. It was a post about wanting a man to at least meet them halfway financially and about how she doesn't care how sweet and good a guy is. If he doesn't work or only works part time, she isn't wasting her time. There was a guy below who I would guess doesn't have a job or only works part time that says, psst, have fun dying alone with your cats. And then Mr. Vainwood says, that is man bashing. And honestly, I think men need to stop holding back. If we are equal, you can take it. Okay. Downtown Cat says, these same guys will say that women should choose nice guys, but it's not nice to want revenge on people for having autonomy. Always Right says, they don't care. They think it's an insult to men that women can be okay and happy without a man. This pisses them off, so they try to insult her. Saba Rub says revenge fantasy. This, pretty much. A lot of men are happy seeing it because they feel they were shunned themselves. Doesn't really make sense, but men are lonely. I think that this person is meant to say a lot of men are unhappy seeing it. That's just me based on the context of the rest of what he was saying. And Mr. Vainwood, again, doesn't make sense is a great argument. You, sir, are an intellectual titan. Just kidding. It's called pattern recognition. Even babies have it. The absurdity of certain women online is so obvious that it cannot be ignored. You know, if men have any privilege, it's that we do not go through life hiding from the discomfort of reality. Okay. And then Mr. Vainwood again, fantasy implies it's in your head, and revenge is a waste of time and energy. A lot of these angry young men aren't seasoned enough to know that you can relax and let time take its course. Dang, the most brutal response you can give to bad fate women like these is to let them bask and relish in the cruel indifference of this feminist utopia they have authored. So just women enjoying life, this feminist utopia. Like I said, the only reason why I wanted to read some of the red pill comments is just to show their connection to reality. It's not connecting. It's not connecting. It's like he's trying to connect, but he can only respond to things with pre-programmed responses. These people are literally NPCs. Anyways, jump in the comments. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Social media in many of these spaces is so important for what is going on in the real world, for people to be able to have these discussions and put things on the forefront that might not have been discussed in times past. This was asked in the AMA subreddit, the Ask Me Anything subreddit. She says, am I, an 18-year-old girl, being groomed by my teacher, a 35-year-old man? She says, I am an 18-year-old girl who just graduated high school. During my last semester, I was a teacher's aide for a man likely around 35 years old. This happened during the first period, which was his prep time, so it was usually just the two of us. He also had my phone number because it was a quicker way to contact me compared to email. Initially, everything was normal. One assisted with the class assignments, organizational tasks. He would text me only about class related matters or if he needed to inform me about something urgent. As time went on, we started having more conversations, initially on appropriate topics. However, he began sharing very personal details about his life and struggles. I found myself in a kind of therapist role. He said I was such a good listener and that talking to me was the highlight of his day. He also started to give me gifts like soda, candy, and even money. His text messages shifted from being class related to more personal topics, including our conversations and shared hobbies. He has complimented my features and placed close attention to the little things. When I was about to graduate, he expressed sadness and said he would miss me a lot. After graduation, his text increased significantly. He shows a keen interest in my life, wanting to know what I'm up to and what I like. He likes to find me music to listen to, offers me things to borrow, asks if I ever do drugs. He has complimented my features and pays close attention to the little things. He even suggested meeting up in person. Although he's never tried to touch me or anything like that, I feel uncomfortable. I'm not sure how to handle this situation because even though I've graduated, I still feel like his student. It doesn't feel appropriate, even though he's been kind and seems well intentioned. I'm looking for advice on how to navigate this. I feel trapped in the situation because, as a people pleaser, I'll tell him what he wants to hear. I've told him things I don't really mean and replied to him because I feel guilty. He said he trusts me too, so if I do anything, I'd feel terrible breaking that trust. That's the thing. That this is the definition of what grooming is. They encroach little by little. They do things that, I mean, if they just jumped right into speaking inappropriately, that would be a huge red flag. So they talk about things that are innocuous, and then it just builds on that. That is the reason why it is so important to have boundaries when you have these types of relationships that have these power dynamics, or it's just inappropriate because student teacher, that is an inappropriate connection. It just really is. And I don't care that this girl is over the age of consent and has since graduated. The relationship initially started out as him being her teacher. This is one of the reasons why I felt so strongly about that man having those girls do his hair. Because even if there was nothing untoward happening in that particular instance, the whole thing is just a way to, it just starts to blend boundaries. It starts to, like, make things like, are we friends? And no, you're not friends. These people are not your best friends. They're not your little friends. They're none of that. You are their teacher, and you need to keep those titles very, very clear. Let's get into some of the comments. This is a long comment. This person says, I've been in similar situations and I think you are being groomed. He is just waiting for you to let your guard down and say yes to something because it's technically legal now. Thank God you have reached out for help. You need to cut contact with him. It doesn't matter if you think he's a good person or has good intentions or whatever. He is an adult who was your teacher, and he should know better than to dump his problems on you, pry into your personal life, etc. This is more than having a good rapport with a teacher and continuing to stay in contact. He is telling you, like, I trust you, trying to make you feel special and mature, etc., and make you feel guilty about setting boundaries. A professional would allow you as the student to reach out first if you wanted to stay in contact after graduation. An adult would not put all of his baggage and emotional responsibility onto a kid relatively speaking. She is a kid regardless. 18 is still a kid to me. My number one advice when you're in a situation where you're uncomfortable, trust your gut. You have no obligation to stay in a situation where you're uncomfortable. Cut contact with him. If you're scared to go radio silence, then send him a message explaining that you're uncomfortable with the relationship, you don't desire a friendship, and you no longer want to be in contact, and immediately block him on every point of contact possible. You have no obligation to listen to him, apologize, or try to explain himself or fix things or make it up to you or anything. If you don't want to be in contact, then you don't want it. Please reach out to an adult in your life whom you trust if you need support. And that's the thing. Women are groomed as girls to be forgiving and see the best in others. And we have got to teach our daughters better than this. We have got to teach our daughters to trust our instincts and see red flags and see warning lights going off. We've got to teach our girls to do this so that they won't be like, I don't want to hurt his feelings. No, no, absolutely not. Trust your gut. Plastic Star says, agree with all of this. This happened to me with a mental health counselor when I was in high school. He started texting me, encouraging appropriate-esque things, but outside of our sessions nonetheless, buying me very thoughtful little gifts, calling me nicknames. It made me feel really guilty that I didn't want to reciprocate the attention or level of intimacy, and eventually ghosted him because I didn't know how to handle it. The guilt honestly ate at me for years, but I looked up to him about 12 years. But I looked him up about 12 years afterwards, post Me Too, and with a better understanding that what he was doing was probably inappropriate. I was curious to see if he was still in practice. The whole thing obviously still bothered me. And the first thing on Google was an old article in our local newspaper about his license being removed because he was having sexual relationships with both an adult counseling client and his teenage babysitter, who started working for him around the time that I was seeing him as a sophomore in high school. He did not have sex with the babysitter until after she was 18. Both women eventually reported him to the licensing board after realizing how they had been groomed and manipulated. This man was in his 30s, married with small children, and specifically practiced as a Christian counselor. Chastity were absolutely topics we discussed, just to highlight that he really leaned into his position as a trustworthy and and righteous male mentor. So, ladies, please trust your gut. Parents, please instill in your daughters to see red flags. Give them examples. Give them, the courage that they need to stand up to people, even when they are in leadership positions. We've got to teach our daughters to stand up to these people. All right, jump in the comments. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. I know how y'all like these open marriage regret posts. And I found one from a few days back in the Am I the A-hole subreddit. She says, husband says I'm not playing by the rules of non-monogamy. Am I the a-hole for not being willing to find a new partner? So the woman needs to find a new partner for some reason. Let's dive in. She says, husband and I are both in our early 40s and have been together since we were teenagers. He came to me during lockdowns and said he was interested in exploring a non-monogamous relationship. We went to counseling, and my love for him and our life outweighed my big reservations about being non-monogamous. When I was ready, we dove in. We agreed that we would go back to monogamy if it didn't work. Husband dove into the kink scene and has two partners who are willing to do kinks I was never open to. I went the traditional route and found someone in person. My boyfriend is very different from my husband. My husband likes my boyfriend a lot and says he's good for me. We had a check in on if ethical non monogamy, that's what ENM stands for, was working for us. Objectively, I don't have any complaints, but my husband said that I was not being present in the relationship and we had no intimacy anymore. I don't spend time with him. Husband said that it wasn't working because he was not neglecting his side of the relationship, but I was neglecting mine. He asked if we could put a pause on the open relationship for a while and find new partners when we were ready to try again, where I wasn't spending more energy on the new partner. I don't want to because I really like my boyfriend and enjoy spending time with him. I don't know if keeping him is worth ruining our marriage. Am I the a hole for not being willing to find a new partner? She says, edit. Our open relationship allowed for partners with emotional connections. I would have agreed to fully closing the relationship and being monogamous again and forgetting this happened. But he wants to close the relationship, then open it again, knowing how hard it was for me compared to him finding a partner, which is unfair. These things always get messy to me. I don't know why people insist on doing them, but it was working for her. She found a boyfriend and he was doing his thing. But, and that's the thing, he's doing his thing. Why does he care? But maybe she just needs to pay a little bit more attention to her husband and not give all of the attention to her boyfriend. Just saying this, my mind is just blown like, but this is their life and that's what they wanted to do, was have open relationships. But people do this. People juggle polyamory and ENM all the time. Whatever works for them. It just seems like a bit much for me to juggle, but that's me. That's my thing. Y'all can go ahead and weigh in. Let's do some of these comments. This person says, sounds like you have to choose because you can't keep both. And then the OP says, I really don't want to end my marriage over this, but I'm not willing to stay by the sideline alone while my husband fulfills his kinks. And then the usual cry says, to clarify, pausing the open relationship would mean him pausing, right? If not the a-hole. Pause can't be one-sided. Okay Satisfaction says he's trying to get rid of her side piece because he's feeling threatened. He will just find another girl to keep kinking away. So only she will be affected by this nerf to their agreement. I don't know what nerf means, but okay. Shrike Angel says, at least he thinks he can just find girls. Men in open relationships tend to end up alone on the couch at home. And Okay Satisfaction said, I was surprised by that too. Waterless Grape says, anyone can have a lot of sex with a lot of uggos in the kink scene. Shrike Angel says, peen is easy for people to get, so by default, guys have harder competition. Dixby Tuckin says his is just a sex thing. He wants to erase her emotional relationship and get back to what's convenient for him. And Okay Marsupio says, yep, he wants to close and reopen so that she loses her boyfriend and he loses nothing. And Inner Celebration says, or he wants to close the relationship so he doesn't lose his wife. Then the OP responds saying he wants to pause it and open it back up again. We might have come back from just going back to monogamy and forgetting that this happened, but just pausing and then opening it back up is unfair to me because I won't be able to find a partner I want unlike him. So that's basically the gist of it. Abject Interview says, tell him either open or closed, but you're not breaking up with your current partner unless the relationship is permanently closed because you aren't a hookup sort of person, but a friends with benefits person, and you already invested in this guy and is not interested in recruiting someone new. That's basically that. I wonder what she ends up doing. But that is where we are with this open marriage regret, and me just thinking that a lot of the times this stuff is just way messy. But you guys go ahead and weigh in and let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.